Why, hello, this is Sydney Hurd again. And I came with some information that I think I really do want you to know. It's been a while since I have done a taping, so just bear with me. At the same time, it reminds me of my uncle, Brother William Brooks, who was a member here of Sunnyside. He told me that my sermons tend to be too long. So I'm just going to try and cut it just a bit, and hopefully he will approve. The thing that I'm talking about this time essentially is the importance of your voting, okay? Now, in the foyer of the church, we tend to have these voter registration forms. Feel free, if you are not a registered voter, please pick one up and fill it out. It's really, really important that you take the time to do so now, because there is a term that's around, and it's called voter suppression. And there tends to be just a tremendous effort to make sure that you don't get a chance to vote, okay? And just do know, by not voting, you really are impacting the vote that is taken. Just be aware of that. I came across a form or some information that was dated back in 2023. And it's from Jim Clyburn, who is a member of the U.S. Congress, okay, from South Carolina, I do believe. But on September the 9th, 2023, I received this notice saying, today is the 60th anniversary of President Eisenhower signing the Civil Rights Act of 1957 into law and establishing the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. It was an essential precursor to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and so many other civil rights laws enacted in the past 60 years. Now, Jim Clyburn then was really one of the organizers, okay, of our country's civil rights movement. And he was one then who fought to see the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts of the 1960s signed into law. And it says that I know that the division plays as important a role today as it did this day and the day that it was founded. And again, this is something from 2023. Many Americans still face barriers based on who they are, what they look like, who they love, or where they live. Barriers to health care, housing, the ballot box. The Civil Rights Division fights for them. When it was created, the division focused on protecting Black Americans' voting rights. They prosecuted the murders of civil rights workers and investigated the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Since then, its scope has grown. Again, 2023. Today, the Civil Rights Division enforces laws prohibiting discrimination in the workplace, education, and housing on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, and religion, and combats hate crimes, human trafficking, and police brutality. The work of the Civil Rights Division was created to pursue equal justice and opportunity for all, is far from finished. And it's going to take all of us getting involved to ensure it continues for another 60 years and beyond. Now, that was an introduction, okay, 2023. And here is from Jim Clyburn, May 4th, 2026. The Supreme Court just gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act, opening the doors for those in power now to bring back racial gerrymandering and to undo decades of progress. Just be aware, I'm telling you about what's happened in the past and really what's happened just a few weeks ago. As we're talking about the Civil Rights Act, when the Voting Rights Act was signed into law, it was a turning point for our nation's history that promised to protect every American's right to vote, no matter their race, their gender, or religion. Okay, so it appears that we're now facing a darker chapter in our history where hard-fought progress was systematically undone and the political power of African Americans was deliberately diminished across the South. Okay, rather than reading more to you, the beginning of the Civil Rights Act, okay, the beginning then of that era, all right, I'm going to say then that it started with, and I'm going to stand, I hope that won't pose a problem here. I'm going to stand and share with you some people who were the beginning then of, I guess, the civil rights period. And I'm going to hold up a picture of this one person then who became known then as the mother of the civil rights movement, okay? I wonder if this is viewable. Okay, that works. And just be aware that on Monday, December 5th, 1955, a letter went out to the city of Montgomery, Alabama. And I neglected to tell you that I think one of the reasons why this means so much to me is because I am from Alabama. I am from Birmingham, Alabama, and lived in Birmingham during a time when there was so much history taking place. But a letter went out, and this lady, Rosa Parks, really refused to get up and give her seat to a white person, all right? And this letter here went out to the city, and it says, well, another Negro woman has been arrested and thrown into jail because she refused to get out of her seat on the bus for a white person to sit down. It is the second time since the Claudette Colbert case that a Negro woman has been arrested for the same thing. This has to be stopped. Negroes have rights too, for if Negroes did not ride the buses, they could not operate. 3/4 of the riders are Negroes, yet they are arrested or have to stand over empty seats. If we do not do something to stop these arrests, they will continue. The next time it may be you or your daughter or your mother. This woman's case will come up on Monday, so we are therefore asking every Negro to stay off the buses Monday in protest of the arrest and trial. Don't ride the buses to work, to town, to school, or anywhere on Monday. Again, that date, Monday, December 5th, 1955. You can afford to stay out of school for one day if you have no other way but except by bus. You can also afford to stay out of town for one day. If you work, take a cab or walk. But please, children and grown-ups, don't ride the bus at all on Monday. Please stay off of all buses on Monday. Again, her name, the beginning then of the civil rights movement then, her name was Rosa Parks, Montgomery, Alabama. As I close this down for Rosa Parks, I'm going to show you who became really known for the civil rights movement, okay? This was the new person in town, all right? And he, can you see that? Okay, all right. So this is the way Dr. King really became known to the nation, okay? Because being the new minister in town, okay, he took up her case, okay? He invited people to come in and to non-violently do what they can to bring changes in the South, okay? I want you to be aware of the beginning of this. And after Rosa's standing up by sitting down, So many others got involved with doing that, not doing some nonviolent actions as well. Okay? So just be aware that, again, I'm trying to encourage you, if you have not already registered to vote, make sure you do so, because all you have to do is fill out a form, fill out a simple form. Okay? So there are some things then that happened that led up to us being able to vote. And again, I'm going to share some things with you. Here's another quilt. Okay? All right. The story goes, and again, the reality, the real story is, Elbert Williams was lynched in Brownsville, Tennessee in 1940 for working to register black voters as part of the local NAACP. On this quilt I wrote, "Blood was shared, sacrifices have been made, show respect, vote, vote." Your life is not in danger when you register, when you fill out that form. Okay? Here's another one. Okay, I want to make sure. Okay? Many of the rights and privileges we now enjoy came about because of the sacrifice of others. Homes were bombed. Churches were bombed. Black children were killed. Voter suppression is real. And then I have down the names of Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky. And I can't believe that I left off Alabama. My goodness, shame on me. Continuing on, again, the importance of us taking the time to actually vote. Again, and with the many different voter suppression laws that they're trying to enact now, just be aware. Be aware of our history. Jack Turner was lynched in Butler, Alabama in 1882 for organizing black voters in Choctaw County. This one says, "I will vote to show respect for his sacrifice." Okay? The importance of your taking the time to vote. After Calvin Mike voted in Calhoun County, Georgia, in 1884, a white mob attacked and burned his home, lynching his elderly mother and his two young daughters, Emma and Lily. Acknowledge his effort. Register and vote. Coming more into today, I'm not sure if you're aware of the Edmund Pettus Bridge there in Selma going over into Montgomery, Alabama. Just be aware. John Robert Lewis, Congressman, stated, "I was beaten, my skull was fractured, and I was arrested more than 40 times. So each and every one of us can register to vote." Can you imagine all of this just so that today we can fill out a form? Should you get a chance to go to Alabama, okay? Congressman John R. Lewis, "We were beaten, tear gas, trampled by horses, and left bloody on that bridge in Selma. But we cannot rest. We cannot become weary. We must honor those who gave their lives for the right to vote." Again, Congressman John Lewis, civil rights leader. Just do know, again, people risk their lives so that you and I could do just that, so that we could vote. Okay, I'm going to show you here some of the receipts that I've received from some of the votes that I've cast. Your vote is your voice. Speak, scream, vote. Okay? All right. And as you do cast your vote, you will get a receipt. Note that there is an election coming up June the 2nd. June the 2nd. If you are a registered voter, by now you should have received information about this primary election Tuesday, June the 2nd. If there's more than one registered voter in your house, you will get just one book, okay? And it's made to registered voters, okay, that live at that address, all right? And it gives you information about the different things that you are to vote on, okay? And I'm going to give you my permission at this time. You don't have to vote for everything that's listed, okay? It's all right. There are some things that are more meaningful to you than others. But again, just do know that because of the sacrifices that are made, you can get that. If you are a registered voter, by now, you really should have, or you should be in the process of receiving your official sample ballot, okay? Take the time to look at it. It gives you the arguments in favor of and the arguments against different measures that are on the ballot. Take the time to really look at them. Take the time to read them, okay? I know I had another packet, but this is really what your ballot looks like. It's going to come in an envelope like this, and okay, once you open it, okay, seems like it just continues, all right? But there are any number of items on the ballot this time. Be aware then that voting centers will open at least 10 days before the election, okay? And as you go through your official ballot, note that the mayor of Los Angeles is up. There are approximately 15 different people that are running for mayor, okay? Choose one if you choose. Choose only one, okay? There are any number of other positions, okay? State senator, okay? LA City primary nominating election controller. Be aware, okay? On the back, there are other things for you to vote on. Okay. For the sheriff, note that there are at least 8 people running for sheriff. Take the time, okay? Do a little research. And I might suggest then that if you listen to Tavis Smiley, his KBLA 1580, starting at 6 a.m., Dominique DePrima has any number of people that are running for office to really come over the air and really tell you why you should vote for them. Again, that's 1580 a.m. Be aware of that, okay? All right, so 8 people are running for sheriff, okay? As I look here, my goodness, running for governor, there are so many people running for governor that it takes both sides. But again, you're to only vote for one. Realize that there are some 61 people that are running for governor. Okay, decide who you'd like to vote for. And again, lieutenant governor, there are some 16 people running for lieutenant governor. I would suggest that perhaps you may want to look at a newspaper, one that you feel that has your best interest in mind, because there are some papers that will go out now that will actually give you suggestions as to who to vote for. Now, again, this is a suggestion, okay? The Sentinel, okay, has a body of people that perhaps the Sentinel newspaper may have your best interest in mind, as opposed to perhaps the LA Times, okay? Think in terms of the Wave newspaper, Okay, it might have suggestions then that would be closer to fitting your needs in your community. All right, so just be aware of that. I guess I'm almost to close out. All right, Brother Brooks, as I get ready to close down, again, think about not just you, think about your community in general. As you cast your vote, consider what you feel is best for your community. But at the same time, think in terms of the sacrifices that have been made on our part, okay? So as I close, use it. Show it. Vote. Do cast your vote. Thank you.